Hello, I'm going to start off this video that's about colour pencils by showing you one of my little sketches. We might have seen this earlier, didn't quite get to this page. This is biro and watercolour pencil, but used as a dry pencil. So this is the demonstration. I've got my three colours set out there, one red, one yellow, one blue. I'm going to just use the side of the pencil that I've done before, and I'm going to overlap them so that we can create more colours. These are the pencils that I take away with me, and what I usually do with them is to cut them down so they either fit into a pocket or into the little tiny box, well, Mrs. Mouse box. Okay, so here we've got two oranges, but you can probably make out they're not quite the same. They're not quite the same because if I use one colour that influences the paper, it is going to influence the end product. So imagine there's the red going down and then the blue, and over here, because the blue goes down first, it will influence the colour that we end up with. That's not quite as easy to see as the orange, but there's a good one coming up, which is the green. So I'm going to put the blue down first over here, put a chunk of yellow on it, and then reverse it. There's the vivid yellow going down. And the yellow, you can always see the yellow standing out from any mix. You can see that, I think, quite clearly. And you can see the orange there that's influenced by the yellow down first. Now I'm going to use these in another way. This is just for the dry technique. And you can put them down as a trio of colours. I'm using each of one of these in turn. We've got a bit of red, a bit of yellow, a bit of blue. Then I'm going to put the yellow down first, and then the blue, and then the red. And then I'm going to move the yellow and put the blue down first. Now it's quite interesting, you may have different manufacturers. They can all work in this exactly the same way. Okay, there's three nice trios. The problem is now if you wetted them, because they're fairly equal colours, they'll go to mud. So this overlaying is really just to keep for your dry method. Now I've got a little brush here. This is the one I used to demonstrate the water-soluble graphite. And as I wet each colour, you can see the colour totally comes to life. I'm drying these very I'm drying the brush very carefully, we'll do the wetting over here. Don't want to really contaminate them just yet. So that's the wetted bit there, and there's the wetted bit. I'm going to wet some of these, but I think you get the idea already how the colour changes. Now you can go with the pencils dry, you can wet them, you can have a combination of the two, and you will get two different results. So I think that's quite dramatic. Now I'm going to leave that just there. You can see I do it many times because I love working with these. I'm going to bring this little book in and we'll zoom into this one. This is the little pocket-sized watercolour book. Okay, that's a pretty good close-up, and I've started to wet these already. So this is the same idea, except that I've changed the paper. And the paper surface is very important because I'll just wet a couple more here. So I'm very carefully drying these not to contaminate one with the other. And as I wet them, the different qualities of the secondary colour is still shining through. So as we look at the green one there, that was the blue down first, and when we wet it, the yellow still has a presence. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more because I want to try and show you particularly where the dry bits are, the surface of the paper, and you can probably see it just on that one there. That's one of the nice things about the watercolour paper, it'll give you an extra dimension of texture. And I'll whiz out again here. And if I turn this sideways, this is a little study, still based on the water-soluble pencil one. Only this time I've used the coloured pencils. Now I'm going to repeat that. Turn the page, put the colours down fairly quickly. There's the yellow. So I'm going to use these a little bit like watercolour. And the only difference really is that if you compare a watercolour blob of paint with these, this is not a lot of colour. So I'm going to put a little bit more on here. Load the blue up a little bit, add a bit more. If I need some more, then I can just work down the side. I'm going to put a little frame in. We'll get a little bit of blue, put the little frame in so we've got something to work inside. Change the colour as we come down. Have a little bit of fun with the colour. And then this little brush works as I squeeze it. It gives me a little bit more water. So I'll get a colour mix going on here and put some tree foliage. This is just the same as we did earlier on the water-soluble graphite. Sometimes when I'm outside I might use the biro to give me some marks and then put the colour on after. With this one it's pure watercolour. Okay, so it looks quite abstract there. Give this little brush a helping hand to clean it up. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the red, touch it with the yellow and just add a nice little bit of colour to there. I do tend to do a lot of these small pictures. So the equipment, if you remember, if I cut the pencils down, they go in a pocket. This is one of the best little books ever because it's just so pocket size. I'm going to put a little bit more foliage just here. A little bit there, so it's kind of foliage that's at the base of the tree. I could then carry on and go to a smaller brush and do all the fiddly bits, but this time I'm going to bring in the dry pencil to finish off because it's what we can do. We can mix and mingle. We'll get the tree trunk coming up here and then coming from behind. Now if you wanted here, you could go to your box of pencils and pick a completely different colour. You might want to go with greens instant, but what I'm going to do is just overlap the colour as I put it down. Now, what I do like to do is to make my paintings quite colourful, so you won't see too many blacks or greys, you'll see something else going on. But even with the bit of wetting and a bit of overlapping there, so we've got the dry overlay. This is called transfer painting. It gives a very lively result. Now I'll put the people in there. I'm going to put a little bit of blue over the top again and a little bit of a shadow there. And whether I wet the people or not really doesn't matter.